Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about network security concept in respect of e-commerce, and our topic of discussion today is encryption. But before discussing about encryption, we will be having a highlight of the various security threats that can arise in the e-commerce environment. These are the most common security threats that can arise in e-commerce environment. First one is malicious code. Malicious code is the code that is harmful in nature. That means the intention of the code is in negative respect. It is the code that when installed or used by a user, it harms the user in the respect of information, in the respect of system resources, etc. How this malicious code gets into the system, in what forms? So the first point is drive-by downloads. That means when you are downloading some application programs from the internet, then the malicious code or the malicious program may get downloaded in the system by chance if it is attached with the file or the file resources or that particular uh, portal from which you are downloading the program. So it can be downloaded, and when it is downloaded in the system, uh, it gets installed and starts executing itself to cause the theft of security, or you can say breach of the security in form of information theft and resources consumption, etc. Then second one is virus. Virus is a very small tiny program that is written to harm a particular computer system, and it has the nature of replication. That means it replicates itself in the system to spread over the complete system, and if it is connected to the network, then to spread to other devices connected. It makes it duplicate copies of itself. But virus is a kind of parasite. That means it itself can't do anything until unless some third party application to which it is attached is active. That means it itself attaches to a particular application program or a file, and when that file is opened, that program is run, then the virus comes in the active mode and starts replicating itself and doing its hazardous activities in the system. Then next comes worm. Worm is also a kind of virus, but it is a self-acting program. That means it does not require any third-party software program to be attached with. It itself can execute and replicate itself to perform the malicious activities in the system. Then comes a ransomware. Ransomware is a kind of that malicious program which which locks the system resources from its usage by the authorized person, and when the authorized user tries to use the system resources, then it asks for some monetary value, some currency values in form of bitcoins, in form of dollars, or it can be in Indian rupees. And when you pay that amount, the amount goes to the attacker, and the attacker unblocks your system from the ransomware program. Then next comes Trojan horse. Trojan horse is a kind of malicious program which is which is which disguises its identity as a normal software program. That means if you are downloading a particular program to be used for a particular purpose, for specific activity, but that actual program is a Trojan horse. It is a program which is divided in two parts. One is the client program, another is the server program. Client program resides with the attacker, and server program is spread over the network. And when you download that program and install it in the system, it starts stealing the information from your system and sends back to the client program to which it is directly attached. So this is Trojan horse. Then backdoors. Backdoors is a kind of mechanism in which when you are doing some normal activities over the web, then the malicious code automatically gets installed in the system in form of in the background, in the form of malicious code that acts behind the scenes, that acts in the background and executes and starts stealing the information of the user. Then comes bots or botnets. These are the self-acting agents. These are the kind of sophisticated agents which are self-acting. They can perform some predefined tasks that are built into their code. They can perform those tasks, and uh, because we are discussing about the malicious code, so obviously there the code in these botnets will be of malicious type, and that will be doing the harm to the authorized users computer system. Bots are the individual acting agents devices, and the botnets is a network of the multiple bots. It can be tens, it can be hundreds, or it can be thousands of bots which are acting itself to perform the designated task as and when the attacker wants them to do, such as spam mails. As you see, spam mails are the mails, unwanted mails that come into the user's mailbox that are of no use. It can be simple advertising, or it can be the mails from an attacker or hacker to theft the information of the particular user. That next comes threats at both client and server levels. As you can see, if we are talking about security and the threats, then the threats can arise in the both directions. Either they can arise in the client machine, or it can be there in the server machine, but it will affect both the systems and the complete network resources, because when data communicates between the client and server, the threat or the malicious code that also travels along with the data and infects whole of the network, whole of the server programs, and all of the client programs. Then next comes potentially unwanted programs. This is another kind of security threat. Potentially unwanted programs, these are the programs that are not desired by the user to perform some particular activity, but they gets into the system of the user unknowingly and starts doing the malicious activities in the system, such as stealing of the information, consumption of the resources, system resources, or corruption of the system. That means they can completely corrupt the system. So first one is browser parasites. These are the programs that are attached to the browser behind the scenes, and they start acting their activities of malicious intention and starts harming the computer system. Next one is adware. Adware is a kind of uh, program that generates various kind of advertisements in the user system, and these are specifically used for marketing purpose of by particular advertising agencies for various kinds of products over the web. Then comes spyware. Spyware, as the name suggests, spy means to watch out unknowingly or in the hidden form for the information of the particular user and theft that information to the attacker. So these are the spyware programs. These are kind of malicious programs which uh, theft the information of the user and sends that information to the attacker for various purposes. The next kind of security threat comes phishing. Phishing is a kind of activity in which the attacker pretends to be some authorized person. When in contact with a particular user, the attacker seems to be like a known personality, and the user gets convicted to that person, and the attacker starts attacking the system resources of the user in the unknowing format, being a genuine person. So in phishing, the various strategies are there. That is, the first one is social engineering. Social engineering is that kind of behavior in which unknowingly you give, the user itself gives the information to the some trustworthy person, but at sometimes that trustworthy person turns into an attacker and starts stealing the information of the user. Then email scams. Email scam, through emails the attacker sends various kinds of malicious codes, malicious links, and when the user clicks on that link, the information regarding the email addresses, contact details, and passwords, all the information are being sent from the client machine to the, from the user machine to the attacker's system, and the attacker can use that information for various kind of malicious activities. Then spear phishing. Spear phishing is also a kind of mail scam in which the uh, when user opens the particular mail, some particular kind of action gets activated. That means spear phishing concept deals with the target individualized user. That means whatever the information there in the mail, that information is particularly pointed to that particular user, individual user, and the user thinks that the information is deliberate or knowingly or usefulnessly for that particular use, but actually that is not the information for the user. That is the information sent by the attacker to fish or to theft the information from the user's system and send it to the attacker's system, and can then the attacker can use that information for various purposes. It can use for marketing, it can use for various kind of frauds, it can be used for various kind of monetary frauds, etc. Then last one is identity fraud or theft. As the name suggests, identity theft. That means the attacker steals the identity of the user and becomes the authorized user when interacting with some third person, and the third person thinks that this is the authorized user to which you are interacting, but actually the interaction is going on in between the user and the attacker. Then the attacker can access the information from the user because the user thinks that he is an authorized personnel to which you are providing the information. So this is a kind of identity theft. Then comes the concept of hacking. As you know, hacking is a general concept that is used to unintentionally to intentionally access the user's system resources and information without knowing the user. That means in an unauthorized way, the attacker or the hacker accesses the user's information and use it for various kind of malicious activities. Then comes a term hacker versus cracker. Hacker is a normal attacker that accesses the user's resources by simply using various kind of activities such as social engineering or identity theft. Then comes cracker. Cracker is a sophisticated user which uses sophisticated tools, programs, softwares to access the individual user's system resources and information, and then use that information for various kind of malicious activities. Then comes types of hackers. Hackers are types of white, black, and gray hat hackers. White hat hackers are those hackers those are not those are doing the hacking for uh, better purpose, for to find out the loopholes from the web resources, or for the government security agencies. The hacking is done to solve various criminal investigation, s- such like that. These are the white hat hackers. Black hat hackers are intentionally personalized hackers who does hacking for their own benefit, for their uh, own personalized interests. And then comes gray hat hackers. Gray hat hackers are those hackers who sometimes behave as a white hat hacker, and sometimes they behave as a black hat hackers. Then comes hacktivism. Hacktivism is a environment in which the hacking activities are done for various kind of purposes. It can be for the government security agencies, it can be for the individual's personal interest, or it can be by the attackers for the various kind of malicious activities, or it can be by some development agencies to find out the loopholes in their resources. Then comes cyber vandalism. Cyber vandalism is a kind of activity which is used to disrupt the complete web resources over the web. It is completely changing the interface of the particular web resource, to change the to disrupt the behavior or working of the particular web resource, or to completely destroy the website. Then comes data breach. Data breach is a kind of activity that is done by the attackers to uh, to give access of the corporate information to the outsiders, to the attackers, to the malicious intentional persons. So that is the data breach. That means the outsiders from the network access the secure network of a particular corporate and access the corporate's information to establish a different corporate network in a parallel, or to make some kind of loss to the existing corporate networks. These are the another most common security threats are credit card fraud, credit card theft, then comes spoofing, then spam, junk mail websites. These are the harmful links. Then identity fraud that we have already discussed, denial of service attack, and hackers flood the site with useless traffic to overwhelm network. Network gets congested and the authorized users can't access the network. Then comes distributed denial of service attack. That is the denial of service attack spread over the distributed environment, where the attacker does the denial of service attack from various computer systems that are spread over the network. So these are the various common security threats that we have discussed. In the next video, we will be discussing about the encryption and its mechanisms to protect, secure the system and its resources. Thank you. Thank you very much.